The deep space exploration vessel Horizon Dawn drifted silently through the dark stretches between the stars. For weeks, its crew had scanned empty space, chasing faint signals and old star maps. They were far from human colonies now, in regions that no one had dared to chart before. Most of the crew felt restless, but Lieutenant Marcus Hale had always enjoyed the silence of space. To him, the unknown was a promise, not a burden. The peace ended suddenly when alarms echoed across the bridge. "Captain, I've detected wreckage ahead," reported Ensign Rena, her voice tense. "Metallic fragments. Large structure. Energy signatures still active." The captain leaned forward. "Can you identify?" Rena shook her head. "Not human. The design, it's alien." At that word, the bridge crew exchanged glances. Humanity had only encountered a few intelligent species, and those meetings had been careful, often tense. A wreck meant something had gone terribly wrong. Marcus studied the view screen. The wreck appeared slowly out of the black void, shattered spires of shining silver, glowing fragments of energy shields flickering weakly. A once grand ship now broken, torn open by violent attack. Even from a distance, Marcus felt a strange weight pressing on him. The captain ordered a cautious approach. As they neared, they saw it clearly. This was no ordinary alien vessel. Its structure glimmered with artistry, shaped with sweeping lines, towers like cathedrals, and hull plating that shimmered with shifting colors. It was majestic even in ruin. Marcus whispered, "It looks like a palace." And in a way, he was right. The scanners reported life signs. Faint, weak, but present. Survivors. "Captain," Marcus said, stepping forward, "we can't just leave them. They need help." The captain hesitated. "We don't know who they are, or what attacked them. This could be dangerous." Marcus did not move. "If they are alive, it means they were attacked, not the other way around. If we turn away now, we leave them to die. Humanity cannot claim to be explorers and then walk past suffering." The crew watched in silence. Finally, the captain gave a short nod. "Prepare a boarding team. Lieutenant Hale, you'll lead." Inside the alien vessel, the silence was haunting. The corridors were tall and filled with light from crystals still glowing in the walls. Wreckage and scorch marks told the story of the attack. Marcus moved carefully with his small team, their helmets sealed, weapons ready but lowered. They found bodies, most lifeless, and Marcus felt a weight in his chest. These aliens were tall and graceful, with pale, luminous skin that seemed almost to glow. Even in death, they looked otherworldly, their clothing woven with threads that sparkled faintly. Then they found survivors. At the heart of the ship lay a grand chamber. It looked like a throne room, though it had been shattered by explosions. There, surrounded by what remained of guards and attendants, were a group of living aliens. They were weak, wounded, and defensive when the humans entered. One figure stepped forward, tall and regal, wearing a crown-like circlet. His voice, though faint, carried authority. "Humans," he said in a language that somehow translated through their universal systems. His eyes narrowed. "What business have you here?" Marcus lowered his weapon and raised his hands. "We detected your distress. We came to help." The alien lord studied him for a long moment. Behind him, the others murmured. Some wanted to refuse, others pleaded for aid. But then a cry cut through the hall. On the floor, lying pale and still, was a young woman unlike the others. She was radiant even in her weakness, her silver hair spread out around her chest rising only faintly. Her gown shimmered like starlight, though torn and stained from battle. "Princess Lysera," whispered one of the guards. The aliens looked down in despair. Their princess, their heir, was dying. Their healers had already tried everything. Their technology glowed faintly around her body, but her life energy continued to fade. Marcus felt a strange pull, as if his heart urged him forward. He stepped closer without thinking. The alien lord raised a hand sharply. "Do not touch her, human. She is our bloodline, our light." Marcus hesitated. He understood their fear, but he also knew what he saw. Her breathing was shallow, her skin too cold. If no one tried something, she would be gone in moments. "Please," Marcus said quietly. "I'm not here to harm her." "Let me try," the aliens argued in hurried voices. Some hissed in anger at the idea of a human touching their princess. Others, seeing her fading chest, whispered in despair. Finally, the elder alien closed his eyes and nodded once. "Very well, but if you harm her, you will not leave alive." Marcus nodded, his heart pounding. He knelt beside the princess. Up close, she seemed even more fragile, as though she were made of crystal. He reached out, his hand trembling, and placed it gently against hers. At first, nothing happened. The room was silent, only the faint sound of her breath. Then, suddenly, a glow spread from the point of contact. Her skin warmed under his touch, light flowing like water through her veins. The weak flicker in her chest grew steadier. Her shallow breath deepened. Gasps filled the chamber. She is healing," cried one of the attendants. Her father's eyes widened in shock. Impossible. Marcus stared as well, hardly believing it himself. He felt something pass through him. A warmth, a surge of life energy flowing from him into her. It did not hurt, but it left him trembling as though he had given a piece of himself. Lysera's eyelids fluttered. Slowly, with great effort, her eyes opened. They were bright, shining with a soft silver glow. For a moment, her gaze found Marcus. A faint voice left her lips, a single word. "Phew." Then she slipped back into gentle sleep, but her breathing was stronger now. Her color had returned. The royal family and guards stared in stunned silence. One alien whispered, "The human touched her, and she lives." The elder stepped forward, his proud face shaken. He looked down at Marcus as though seeing him for the first time. "What are you?" he asked. Marcus, still kneeling, did not know how to answer. He was just a human officer, a man who could not walk away from someone in need, and yet somehow his touch had done what their greatest healers could not. "I don't know," Marcus said honestly. The silence stretched in the chamber. Then the elder spoke again, his voice low but filled with awe. "Perhaps," he whispered, "you are the reason the stars brought us together." The chamber aboard the broken alien vessel was filled with silence. All eyes remained fixed on Marcus, who still knelt beside Princess Lysera. Her chest now rose and fell with steadier rhythm, and her pale face carried a faint glow that had not been there moments ago. The alien nobles and guards whispered among themselves, their voices tense, their gazes darting between the princess and the human who had touched her. The elder alien, who wore a crown-like circlet, slowly stepped forward. His eyes were stern but no longer sharp with suspicion. "What you have done," he said in a low voice, too, "should not be possible." Marcus stood carefully, still feeling the strange warmth in his own body. His hands trembled, though he tried to hide it. "I don't understand it myself," he admitted. "I only wanted to help." One guard spoke quickly in their language, too fast for the translators. Others followed, raising their voices. Some seemed to argue for Marcus, others against him. The elder raised a hand, silencing them. "You claim ignorance," he said, eyes narrowing. "But our healers, trained for centuries, could not save her. And yet a human's hand brought life back." "Why?" Marcus shook his head. "I don't know. I'm not a healer. I'm a soldier. I've never done anything like this before." The elder studied him, his expression unreadable. At last he turned to the guards. "Bring the healers. They must see this." Within minutes, alien healers arrived, carrying instruments of shining crystal and glowing rods that pulsed with energy. They hurried to Princess Lysera, scanning her, speaking in hushed tones. The light around their devices flickered in confusion. Finally, one healer approached the elder and bowed deeply. "Her condition is stabilized. The bleeding of her life force has ended. But it is not our doing. It is the human." The words spread like fire through the chamber. The human. He did this. Impossible. Marcus shifted uneasily under the weight of their stares. He wished he could explain, but the truth was as much a mystery to him as to them. The elder stepped closer, his presence heavy with authority. "Lieutenant Marcus Hale, is it? You will not leave her side until we understand what you are. You remain with the princess." Marcus opened his mouth to protest but stopped himself. He looked down at Lysera, who rested peacefully for the first time since they had found her. Something inside him told him this was not a burden but a responsibility. He nodded. "I'll stay." Back aboard the Horizon Dawn, the human crew was just as stunned when the report arrived. The captain listened carefully as Marcus explained what had happened. His voice steady, though his hands betrayed his nervousness. "So you touched her," the captain repeated slowly, "and she began to heal." "Yes, sir," Marcus said. "I don't know why, but they're convinced it's connected to me." The captain rubbed his chin, troubled. "This could change everything. If their people learn about this, they may not let you or any of us leave." Marcus frowned. "You think they see me as a threat?" "They might," the captain admitted. Or they may see you as something to control. Either way, we have to be careful. You may have just made humanity very important to them. And importance can be dangerous. Marcus understood. Still, he could not forget the princess's faint voice when she had looked at him. That single word, you. It felt like more than coincidence. Days passed. The human crew and the Elvari survivors worked together uneasily, repairing what they could of the broken alien ship while waiting for rescue signals to be answered. Communication between the two species was polite but tense, with many Elvari watching the humans with suspicion. Marcus spent most of his time beside Princess Lysera. Her recovery was slow but steady, and whenever he touched her hand or sat near her bed, her strength seemed to grow more quickly. The healers documented every change, filling their glowing tablets with data they could not fully explain. On the third day, Lysera's eyes opened again. This time they stayed open. She blinked against the light and then focused on Marcus. "You are still here," she whispered, her voice soft but clear. Marcus leaned closer. "Yes, I promised I'd stay." Her lips curved faintly into a weak smile. "Then I live because of you." Marcus shook his head. "No, I don't even know what I did. I'm glad you're better, that's all." But she studied him with intensity, as though searching for something beyond his words. "Your touch. It feels unlike anything I have known. Warm, alive, pure." Her family entered then, filling the chamber with their presence. When they saw her awake and speaking, relief swept across their faces. Yet their eyes quickly returned to Marcus. The elder bowed his head slightly. "Daughter, do you understand what has happened?" Lysera looked at Marcus, then at her father. "Yes, this human saved me." Her words carried weight. The chamber filled with murmurs again. Some were whispers of gratitude, others sharp notes of unease. Later, a council of the Elvari survivors gathered in a tall chamber of crystal light. Marcus was not invited, but he could hear their voices from beyond the doorway. "He is dangerous." "No, he is chosen." "What if their kind can control us? What if their kind can save us?" The debate raged. Some saw Marcus as a threat, others as a miracle. But one truth could not be denied. Without him, Princess Lysera would already be gone. When the meeting ended, Lysera's father approached Marcus. His eyes were thoughtful, less hostile than before. "You are a puzzle, human," he said. "Our people have lived among the stars for millennia. We thought ourselves masters of life and energy. Yet you, from a younger race, hold something we do not. Something we cannot explain." Marcus bowed his head slightly. "I didn't ask for this. I only did what anyone should, help someone in need." The elder studied him for a long moment. Then, in a voice heavy with meaning, he said, "Perhaps that is why the stars chose you." As days turned into a week, strange rumors spread among the Elvari survivors. Some whispered that Marcus was a messenger of destiny. Others feared he was a weapon in disguise. The uncertainty grew stronger when scouts reported signs of enemy ships still lurking in nearby space. The Elvari had called them the Krithar, raiders who struck without warning, leaving nothing but ruin. It was they who had attacked the royal cruiser, seeking to capture Lysera. And if they discovered she was alive, they would return. The humans and Elvari now faced a choice: hide and wait for distant allies, or stand together and prepare. Marcus listened as the captain and Lysera's father discussed strategy. He felt out of place, a simple lieutenant among leaders. But then Lysera's voice cut through the debate. "My strength grows because of him," she said, pointing to Marcus. "If the Krithar return, I will not be helpless. With him near me, I will fight." Her father looked troubled. "You are not ready." Lysera raised her chin proudly. "If not now, then when? The Krithar seek to enslave us. If they come again, we must show them that neither Elvari nor human will bow." Marcus felt a shiver at her words. He had never thought of himself as more than a soldier following orders. Yet here she was, a princess, declaring him her shield. He met her gaze and nodded. "Then I'll stand with you." The council fell silent. For the first time, human and Elvari eyes alike turned not with suspicion but with something else: hope. The repaired sections of the Elvari cruiser glimmered faintly in the starlight, patched with human engineering and alien crystal alike. The cooperation between the two crews had been uneasy at first, but necessity slowly forced them closer. Both sides knew the Krithar raiders were still out there. The wreckage scattered across space was proof that the enemy was not yet finished. On the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, Captain Reyes studied the tactical displays. The Krethar will return. It's only a matter of time, she said. We need to decide whether to run or fight. Lizara's father, Lord Kalen, stood tall beside her. His silver robes were tattered, but his presence was unshaken. Running will not save us. They hunt like predators. They will not stop until we are broken. If my daughter still breathes, they will come. Marcus Hale listened quietly from his station, his hand resting unconsciously against the edge of the console. He had grown used to the strange sensation that pulsed through him whenever Lysera was near. It was like a current of warmth, subtle but constant, as though something inside him had awakened since that first moment he touched her. Lysera herself entered then, supported by 2 attendants but walking on her own. Though still pale, her eyes shone with determination. The entire bridge turned to her. We cannot flee, she said firmly. If we run, the Krethar will see weakness. If we stand, they will see strength. High people may be broken, but with the humans we can fight. The words hung in the air. Captain Reyes frowned. Princess, with respect, your forces are badly damaged. My ship is built for exploration, not battle. Against a Krethar fleet we may not stand a chance. Lysera's gaze shifted to Marcus. We have more than ships. We have him. The crew looked at Marcus, who stiffened under the weight of their stares. He had not asked to be anyone's symbol, but he also could not deny what had happened. He had touched her and she had healed, and each day since her recovery had accelerated whenever he stayed close. I'm just one man, Marcus said quietly. Lysera shook her head. No, you are more. When you are near, my strength grows. Perhaps the Krethar will not understand, but they will feel it when we resist. Lord Kalen's eyes softened slightly, pride and worry mixing. My daughter speaks with courage. Perhaps the stars do mean for us to fight together. The days that followed were filled with preparation. Humans and Elvari worked side by side, fitting weapons to damaged systems, exchanging knowledge of tactics. The Elvari soldiers trained alongside human marines, their graceful movements blending with the humans' rigid discipline. Marcus found himself drawn into both worlds. He drilled with his own squad, but was also pulled constantly to Lysera's side. Whenever she trained with her guards, she insisted that he stand nearby. And to everyone's astonishment, her stamina and skill grew faster in his presence. One evening, as the stars drifted silently outside the windows of the cruiser, Marcus and Lysera spoke in private. She sat on a low bench, her gown replaced with simple combat attire, her silver hair tied back. Does it trouble you? She asked softly. Marcus looked up from cleaning his rifle. What do you mean? That you have become different. That my people see you as more than human now. Marcus hesitated. It's strange. I never wanted attention. I joined the fleet to explore, to serve, not to be some kind of miracle. But when I see you alive, when I see your people hope again, I think maybe it's worth it. Lysera smiled faintly. You speak with humility. That is why they will follow you. He shook his head. No, they'll follow you. You're their princess. I'm just here to stand with you. Her eyes lingered on him, shining with something he could not name. And that, she whispered, makes all the difference. The Krethar came without warning. Sensors screamed as multiple ships dropped from faster-than-light space, their jagged silhouettes blotting the stars. Unlike the graceful Elvari vessels or the sturdy human craft, the Krethar ships looked like predators made of metal and fire, spines, hooks, and dark engines that pulsed with crimson light. They found us, shouted Ensign Rena. Captain Reyes snapped orders. All stations to battle readiness. Shields up. Weapons online. The Elvari commander echoed the call, his voice steady. Defend the princess at all costs. On the main screen, the Krethar ships spread out like a hunting pack circling. Their comm signals hissed with harsh tones, a language full of threat. Marcus strapped into his armor and grabbed his weapon. His squad stood ready, but his eyes went first to Lysera. She stood tall at the center of the command deck, her expression calm but fierce. They want me, she said. Then let them come. The battle began. Lasers and plasma fire lit the darkness, streaking across space in brilliant arcs. The Horizon Dawn maneuvered desperately, dodging barrages while the damaged Elvari cruiser returned fire with what weapons it still possessed. But the Krethar were relentless. They closed in, tearing at shields, striking with brutal precision. Explosions rocked the decks. Marcus's squad was deployed to defend the command chamber. The enemy boarded in waves, their ships latching onto the cruiser's hull and sending armored raiders through the breaches. The corridors filled with the sounds of combat, blades clashing, rifles blazing. Marcus fought at the front, his pulse steady despite the chaos. His rifle roared as he cut down enemies, his squad moving in tight formation. Yet even as he fought, he felt it again, the surge of warmth, the strange energy within him. When Lysera's voice cried out behind him, his strength grew sharper, his movements faster. He cut through a Krithar warrior with a force he had never known. Lysera herself fought too, wielding a slender energy blade given to her by her guards. Each time Marcus was near, her strikes grew brighter, her balance steadier. Together they moved as if bound by an unseen thread. At one point, a Krithar warrior broke through the line and charged toward Lysera. Marcus saw it too far to intercept. Without thinking, he reached out, his hand glowing faintly as it had the first day. The warrior staggered mid-stride, its weapon faltering, and Lysera's blade struck true. The chamber fell silent for a heartbeat. Everyone had seen it. Marcus's touch, even from a distance, had turned the tide. Whispers spread among the Alvari soldiers. The human, he channels life itself. But there was no time for awe. More enemies poured in. Hours of battle dragged on. Both ships burned, shields failing, weapons sparking. But the humans and Alvari fought with a unity that neither species had known before. And at the heart of it all was Marcus and Lysera, side by side, their strange connection making them stronger than either could be alone. Finally, the Krithar withdrew, their ships limping into the void. They had not been destroyed, but they had been driven back. For the first time, their hunt had failed. Cheers erupted through the decks, exhausted but triumphant. Marcus stood among the smoke and wreckage, his armor scorched, his chest heaving with breaths. Lysera stood beside him, her blade still glowing faintly, her silver hair loose around her shoulders. She looked at him and smiled, weary but radiant. "You see?" she said softly. "Together we are more." Marcus nodded, his heart heavy with both pride and unease. He knew this was only the beginning. The Krithar would return stronger. And questions remained unanswered, about his strange gift, about why his touch held such power. But in that moment, standing beside Lysera, with both human and Alvari alive because of their bond, Marcus felt something new. For the first time, humanity was not small in the eyes of the galaxy. They were vital. The aftermath of the Krithar attack left both crews exhausted. The Alvari cruiser, though repaired enough to move, bore scars from the battle, scorched hull, shattered corridors, and still smoking weapon mounts. On the human ship, engineers and medics worked non-stop, tending to the wounded and restoring critical systems. Yet even in the midst of exhaustion, the strange connection between Marcus Hale and Princess Lysera could not be ignored. Lysera had grown noticeably stronger over the days. Her voice was firmer, her movements more precise, her presence commanding. And every time Marcus was near, her energy seemed to radiate even more brightly. A council meeting was convened in the main chamber, lit by the soft glow of alien crystals embedded in the walls. Lysera's father, Lord Kalen, sat at the head of the table, flanked by his most trusted advisors. Marcus, by order of the Elder, was present as well, though he remained silent, his hands clasped behind his back. One of the healers stepped forward, their crystal rod pulsing faintly. "Lord Kalen," they began, "we have studied the princess for the past days. Her life force responds uniquely to the human. When he is near, her healing accelerates. Her strength increases beyond natural limits. This cannot be explained by our science." A murmur spread through the council. "Impossible," one noble whispered. "No human should have such power over Alvari life." Marcus cleared his throat. "I don't know why this happens. I never intended. I only wanted to help her survive." Lord Kalen regarded him silently. "Your action saved the princess. That is beyond dispute, but why? How does your touch connect with her life force?" Marcus shook his head. "I honestly don't know. It's not something I can control, it just happens." The council debated for hours. Some saw Marcus as a miracle, a gift from the stars. Others viewed him with suspicion, wondering if humans were unknowingly dangerous to their people. Some even whispered that he could be a weapon planted by their enemies. Finally, a voice cut through the tension. It was Lysera herself. She had entered silently, her energy now almost fully restored, her silver eyes sharp and commanding. "You argue over what is already clear," she said firmly. "This human saved me. He did not seek power. nor did he demand reward. He acted with compassion, and because of that I live. That alone should be enough. The council was stunned into silence. Even those who doubted could not ignore the truth in her voice. Yet not all were convinced. One elder noble, a woman with eyes as cold as steel, leaned forward. "Princess," she said carefully, "we owe him our gratitude, but we must also consider the consequences. If your strength is tied to him, we risk dependence on a single human. What if he leaves? What if he cannot always protect you?" Lysera met her gaze without flinching. "Then we will not leave him, and we will not hide. Humanity is now part of our survival, whether we admit it or not. We have been gifted a chance to grow stronger, and we will take it." Marcus, though still unsure of himself, felt a spark of pride. He was just a soldier, yet her words made him feel part of something far greater. The next day, researchers from both the human and Ilvari crews gathered to study the unusual bond. They discovered something astonishing. Human biological energy, subtle and unique, interacted with Elvari life energy in ways no other species could. When Marcus was near Lysera, her natural healing and latent abilities amplified. She could move faster, think clearer, and even resist toxins and energy disruptions that would incapacitate normal Elvari. "This is unprecedented," a scientist said quietly, adjusting a display of glowing graphs. "It appears humans possess a resonance that the Elvari energy can harmonize with. It's like a key fitting into a lock." Marcus frowned. "A key for what?" The scientist hesitated. "For your species' potential influence on Elvari biology. It's remarkable and rare." Marcus blinked, feeling the weight of the revelation. He had never imagined that something so ordinary as a touch could carry such significance. Lysera, overhearing from nearby, smiled faintly. "So it was meant to be, perhaps, that humans would play a role in our survival, and not just as allies, but as partners. Even as the bond grew stronger, tension brewed elsewhere. A faction within the Elvari royal court grew wary. They feared that the humans, and Marcus especially, could shift power in ways the elders could not control. Quiet whispers of distrust began circulating. Some nobles argued for limiting Marcus's presence, fearing his influence over the princess could lead to unforeseen consequences. One night, Marcus overheard a conversation while walking through a corridor. "They rely too much on him," a noble hissed. "If the human is gone, or worse, turns against us, the princess will be vulnerable." "We cannot allow this," another replied, voice low and fearful. "But what choice do we have? He saved her life, and the princess will not let him go. Our people's survival may depend on him." Marcus's jaw tightened. He had no desire to be a pawn in political games, yet he realized it was impossible to remain neutral. His presence had already altered the course of the Elvari's future. Meanwhile, Lysera's training intensified. Every day she pushed herself, guided by Marcus's quiet presence. Her skills grew faster than anyone expected, blending Elvari techniques with human combat strategies. Guards whispered that the princess now moved with a strength and precision unseen in decades. During one practice session, she paused, breathing heavily. "Marcus," she said softly, "every time you are near, I feel stronger. I don't know why, but it is true. You awakened something in me." Marcus shook his head. "You don't need me to be strong. You were born to be a leader. I'm just here to help." She smiled faintly, brushing her silver hair back. "Perhaps, but the help you give is more than physical. It is life itself." Marcus could only nod. He had begun to accept the truth, even if he did not fully understand it. Humans had a role in the Elvari future, unlike anyone had expected. Tensions escalated further when scouts reported that Krathar forces were gathering near a nearby system. The raiders had not forgotten the princess nor the humans who had interfered. They would strike again, and this time likely with a larger fleet. The council met in emergency session. Marcus was present, though he felt uneasy. The nobles debated strategy. Some wanted to hide, to avoid confrontation until reinforcements arrived. Others, emboldened by Lysera's new strength, argued for preemptive attack. Lysera stood, calm and resolute. "We will not hide. We will not wait. The Krithar have sought to destroy us for too long. With Marcus by my side, we can face them. If we do not act, they will come again and destroy everything we have left." Her words silenced the room. Even the most skeptical nobles had to admit she spoke truth. Lord Kalen nodded. Very well, we fight. But we must prepare. Our people, our ships, our allies, all must be ready. And you, he said, pointing to Marcus, will remain at her side. Marcus swallowed. He understood the magnitude of the responsibility, yet something inside him stirred. Not fear, but determination. He had been thrust into a story far larger than himself, and now there was no turning back. That night Marcus walked the deck beside Lysera. The stars stretched endlessly around them, calm and infinite. She spoke softly as though sharing a secret. Do you fear what the nobles say? That they might turn against you? Marcus shook his head. I don't know, perhaps. But I cannot live my life worrying about what others think. I only know that you survived because I was here. And I will stay whatever comes. Lysera smiled faintly. Then perhaps the stars have chosen wisely. Humanity is not small, not insignificant. You are remarkable, Marcus Hale. And together we will face whatever comes next. The warmth of her words lingered in him. He felt the connection between them stronger than ever, a bond that would not break easily. Above them, the stars shone silently, bearing witness to the beginning of a new chapter, for humans and Elvari alike. And somewhere in the darkness, the shadow of the Kryther waited, unaware that the alliance they sought to destroy was already forming, stronger than they could imagine. The stars burned bright above the repaired Elvari cruiser, but the calm was only temporary. Scouts had returned with grim news. The Krythar had amassed a fleet far larger than before. Their ships moved with precision, like predators circling their prey. The humans and Elvari had little time to prepare, and every moment of hesitation could mean disaster. On the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, Captain Reyes studied the incoming fleet. They are too many, she muttered. Even combined, our ships may not hold. Marcus Hale stood beside Lysera, who had grown into her strength fully now. Her silver eyes gleamed with determination, and the subtle energy that flowed between them hummed faintly, resonating through the deck. We can face them, Lysera said, her voice calm but commanding, not because we have more ships, but because we have courage and unity. Lord Kalen, standing behind her, nodded. We will show them the strength of two species fighting together. They underestimated us before. They will not do so again. Marcus felt a surge of pride, though nerves tightened his chest. He was only human, a species still young in the galaxy. Yet now, standing beside a princess whose life he had saved, he realized something incredible. Humans were not insignificant. They were essential. The Krythar struck without warning. Red and black warships tore through space, their weapons lighting up the void. Explosions rocked the cruiser, shaking corridors and sending alarms blaring across both vessels. Brace for impact, Captain Reyes shouted. Shields at maximum. Weapons ready. The combined human Elvari fleet responded immediately. The Elvari fired energy beams, their arcs of light cutting through the darkness. Human cannons and missiles added to the defense, their disciplined fire precise and relentless. In the command deck, Marcus stood near Lysera, scanning the chaos. He could feel the energy shift between them, a quiet but powerful force. Each time he reached toward her, her strength surged, her focus sharpened. The Krythar boarding teams began their assault. Their ships latched onto the cruiser's hulls, sending raiders armed with jagged weapons into the corridors. Explosions shook the decks and smoke filled the air. Marcus led his squad through the chaos, pushing back raiders as they advanced toward the command chamber. Yet even as he fought, he noticed a pattern. Wherever he and Lysera were closest, the Elvari guards moved faster, their energy brighter, their attacks more precise. It was as if the bond between them was spreading strength to all nearby. At a critical moment, a massive Krythar warrior breached the command chamber itself, its armor dark and spiked. It moved toward Lysera, ready to strike. Marcus reacted instantly. He stepped between them, placing a hand against the creature. A strange warmth spread from his palm, flowing through the creature's armor. The raider froze mid-strike, its weapon trembling. Lysera's energy flared, her sword slicing through the enemy with unerring accuracy. The chamber erupted in astonishment. Humans and Elvari alike had seen it. Marcus's touch did not merely heal, it could disrupt, strengthen and protect in ways no technology could. The Krythar warrior fell, and a wave of confidence swept through the defenders. The tide of battle slowly began to turn. Outside, the fleet maneuvered with renewed vigor. The humans piloted their ships with careful precision, while the Alvari vessels, guided by Lysera's newfound strength and Marcus's support, executed maneuvers that the Krythar could not anticipate. The enemy ships faltered, their formations breaking. Beams that once seemed unstoppable were deflected, their attacks countered by the coordinated assault of human and Alvari forces. Marcus felt exhaustion creeping in, but he refused to step back. He moved beside Lysera, reaching toward her, feeling the energy flow between them. It was not magic, not technology, it was something deeper. A connection, unexplainable but real, giving hope and strength to both species. Hours of combat raged on. Explosions tore through ships and smoke and debris filled the void. Yet gradually the combined fleet gained the upper hand. The Krythar ships, stunned by the unexpected resilience and coordination, began to retreat. Lysera raised her hand, her energy radiating outward in a brilliant silver glow. Marcus touched her lightly, amplifying the effect. The Alvari shields strengthened, their weapons pulsed brighter, and the humans moved with uncanny precision. One by one, the enemy ships were pushed back, their retreat turning into a rout. The survivors fled into the darkness of space, leaving the Alliance victorious. The silence after the battle was profound. The stars sparkled above, calm once more. Marcus and Lysera stood together on the deck, surveying the damage and the survivors. Humans and Alvari alike cheered softly, though many were too exhausted to raise their voices. Lysera turned to Marcus, her silver eyes bright. "We did it," she whispered. "Because of you." "Because of us," Marcus shook his head. "Because of all of us. We fought together." Lord Kalen approached, his face solemn but proud. "Marcus, hail," he said, voice strong. "You have saved my daughter. You have saved my people. You have shown us that humanity is more than we ever imagined. You are no longer just a soldier. You are part of our legacy." The Alvari royal family bowed, a gesture of respect they had not extended lightly. Even the skeptical nobles lowered their heads in recognition. Marcus felt a warmth in his chest, one that had nothing to do with his strange energy. He realized that humans, though small in numbers, had something far greater: courage, compassion, and the will to act when others might hesitate. That was what had made the difference. In the days that followed, repairs continued, and the alliance between humans and Alvari grew stronger. Scientists continued to study the bond between Marcus and Lysera, but answers were not immediately forthcoming. It did not matter. What mattered was trust, cooperation, and shared purpose. Lysera often walked beside Marcus, her hand brushing lightly against his. "The stars brought us together for a reason," she said softly one evening as they watched distant suns burn in the black sky. "Perhaps to remind our people that even the smallest among us can be mighty when we act with courage." Marcus smiled faintly. "I never imagined humanity would mean so much to a species like yours." Lysera turned to him, eyes shining. "You have always mattered. Perhaps we were the ones blind to it." As both fleets set course back toward safer systems, Marcus understood something profound. Humanity, young and often underestimated, had proven its worth in a galaxy of older, more advanced civilizations. They were not just survivors. They were essential. And at the heart of that truth stood a young human lieutenant who had dared to reach out and touch a dying princess. A simple act of compassion had shifted the destiny of an entire race. In the months and years that followed, stories spread across star systems of the human who had saved the Alvari princess. Some told it as legend, others as inspiration. But all agreed on one thing: humans were no longer mere wanderers in the cosmos. They were a vital, living force capable of shaping the stars themselves. Marcus stood beside Lysera on the deck one final time before entering the jump gate. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of danger, hope, and promise. "You think we'll see peace?" he asked softly. Lysera smiled, her hand resting on his shoulder. "Peace is a choice, Marcus. And when humans and Alvari stand together, I believe the stars themselves will watch over us." As the ships jumped into faster-than-light travel, Marcus looked back at the fleet they had saved, at the people who had come to trust humans, and at the princess whose life he had touched. A quiet pride settled in him. Humanity had proven itself. Against all odds, in the darkness of space they had shined, and the galaxy would never be the same.